I don't know. Boxing is a lot of wear and tear on the body. Maybe so. I'm not really sure.
Take out cash on all my houses and just bet everything on AJ. But I don't, being that we live in a world where I don't trust anything, I wouldn't be able to do that because there's no shot if this is a real deal thing that AJ doesn't do anything but knock out Jake Paul.
Nothing less than AJ to flatten him. If AJ doesn't flatten him, then he underachieved in the fight.
Floyd Mayweather shares his opinion on the Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua fight. Saying boxing causes long-term damage to the body. He explains that Joshua's size, strength, and power give him a big advantage. However, Floyd reminds everyone that once the fight starts, anything can happen. Boxing is full of surprises, which makes this fight interesting and hard to predict.
Not any real interest.
I'm pretty sure I'll watch it if they did it again.
So Justin Ali, an MMA fighter, compares Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua to Floyd Mayweather versus Conor McGregor. He explains that even though Conor was bigger than Floyd, the size gap was much smaller than the one between Jake and Joshua. Ali says Floyd had years of experience, top-level defense, and elite ring intelligence, which helped him beat a bigger opponent. Jake does not have that level of skill or experience because of the huge size gap and Joshua's proven power. Ali believes Jake has no real chance to win.
Loses a decision to AJ, I think that's a win. That's a massive win.
Yeah.
If he goes out there, goes 8 3-minute rounds with Anthony Joshua, that is a win.
What is Anthony Joshua? Is he a boxer or is he a MMA or who is he?
He's one of the. He's like a professional world champion boxer.
He has fought the best of the best boxers
He's fought
in heavyweight.
Tyson Fury. He's fought Usyk. He's a legitimate professional boxer. He's not an influencer.
Yeah, his is legit, bro.
He is a dude.
And
Did you see him knock out Francis Ngannou?
Oh, he knocked out Francis Ngannou?
Bad in the second round.
Oh, okay, I remember. That's when Francis went to boxing.
Francis went to boxing, fought Tyson Fury, like arguably the greatest heavyweight of all time. And some people think
that's the big white dude, right?
Beat Tyson Fury. They're like a lot of people think Francis beat him. So Francis fights Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua knocks him out cold in 2 rounds. Did you see that knockout?
Francis,
you remember it fresh off your head?
No, I don't.
Let me show you. Francis.
It's insane.
That's crazy. So this guy and Anthony, what's his name? Anthony Joshua.
Yeah.
He's not even like out of his prime, right? He's still primed out.
He's still there.
This isn't like that long ago.
Damn. Watch. What if Jake knocks him out?
Dude, it's gonna. I don't. It's fucking insane.
How big's Jake? What's Jake weigh?
Jake's probably
240?
6'1", 220, 215.
It'd be like Conor knocking out Floyd. I feel like. You don't think it'd be
dude, Conor
bigger?
was that much bigger than Floyd.
True.
Like he was bigger.
That's a good point.
But not
so you
that.
Think that this is significantly more impressive.
This is nuts. Watch that.
Would you say that this is more impressive if he's able to beat someone like that?
If Jake beats Anthony Joshua, is it more impressive?
Shane Mosley gives a calm and sensible view of Jake Paul's place in boxing. He says that even if Jake gets knocked out, it does not mean his journey is over. Mosley sees Jake as someone who enjoys testing himself and improving. One loss, no matter how bad it looks, does not erase the work Jake has done or the chance is still ahead. Mosley believes fighters learn from losing. Jake is young and driven enough to use a loss as a lesson, not an ending. To Mosley, Jake treats boxing as a long-term goal, not a short-term stunt.
Let's say like Francis Ngannou did against Joshua. Is this the end of the Jake Paul experiment?
I would say not, no. I just think that he just dared to be great and tried to, jump up and fight somebody, that he thought maybe he can exploit something. I don't know.
Vidal Riley gives a very firm opinion, saying that if Anthony Joshua does not fully dominate Jake Paul, then he has failed expectations. Riley explains that Joshua is held to a very high standard because of his achievements, size, and championship experience. He believes Joshua must clearly show the gap between an elite heavyweight and someone new to boxing. Riley says if Jake lasts too long, it raises serious questions about Joshua's sharpness. In simple terms, Riley expects this fight to be one-sided. If it is not, Joshua has not done what was expected.
Jake Paul, Anthony Joshua. What's your thoughts? You know both men. You probably know AJ a bit more, but what's your thoughts on the fight?
I expect nothing less than AJ to flatten him. If AJ doesn't flatten him, then he underachieved in the fight. It's as simple as that. Like, he's supposed to smoke Jake Paul as the former 2-time heavyweight champion of the world. If he doesn't do that, then it's subpar. And
Gareth A. Davies shares a more worried and careful view. He says he truly hopes fans do not see Jake Paul badly hurt on fight night. Davies respects Jake for taking the challenge, but warns that Joshua's power is extremely dangerous. He worries that Jake may not fully understand the risk of facing such a powerful heavyweight. Davies believes Jake could be shocked by Joshua's speed, strength, and explosiveness. His comments show real concern for Jake's safety. He keeps repeating that Joshua's power is unlike anything Jake has faced before. And
this game, Gareth, I respect Jake tremendously for taking it. You kind of have to, right? But, I mean, I know there's a lot of money in there as well, but still the opportunity and the thought of getting chinned and hit flush on the chin by AJ isn't particularly nice. We know his sparring looks good. Lawrence Okoli, Jared Anderson, Frank Sanchez, etc. But there's no way in hell, is there?
What, that we see an upset?
Yeah.
No, I mean, you can't, if you work in this industry and you know the fight sports world, you can't go with the Jake Paul victory. The only thing you can perceive really is AJ tripping over and breaking an ankle and not being able to stand up after it looks like Jake Paul's clipped him with a left hook, where he's playing possum on the ropes, or he's thrown an overhand right that doesn't touch him or whatever. And it's mired in controversy forever. As I said and as I spoke with Nikisa Bedarian and Jake Paul at the press conference in Miami a couple of weeks back, if Jake Paul does do it, it'll be the biggest history.
Anderson Silva looks at the situation from a different emotional angle. He praises Jake Paul's discipline and believes Jake deserves more respect. Silva calls Jake a real fighter, pointing to the hard work he puts into training. He says Jake's willingness to face tough opponents shows he is serious, not just seeking attention. Silva believes Jake's improvement comes from consistent effort, not luck. While he accepts the danger of fighting Joshua, Silva insists Jake's commitment should not be dismissed because he came from a different background.
The problem is, a lot of people know, but lazy people and the people don't have a courage to doing the same job that Jake do it, start saying bullshit about Jake. But the difference between these people and Jake is Jake have a ball and go inside the ring and prove how he's there and keep working hard every day to make something and help a lot of fighters to prove your point and respect the sport. And the people don't give the credit for Jake, and the people need to do that. And
Wade from the Wade Concept takes a critical view of the fight. He says Jake may have shown his weaknesses in sparring videos that appeared online, where he was getting hit too easily. Wade believes these defensive problems would be far more dangerous against Anthony Joshua, who hits much harder than sparring partners. He argues that if Jake struggles to defend himself in training, the danger increases in a real fight. Wade believes Joshua could seriously hurt Jake and describes the situation as someone walking into danger without being fully ready.
Jabbed big time with a one big shot, or, and this may be even more of a bad thing for Jake Paul, he's gotten hit with a hard left hook, one that he didn't see because it was right on his eye, and it looks like it landed pretty flush, as you can kind of see here. Question is, which one of those two things is happening? And question is, how is it going down? Because what we know about Anthony Joshua is that he has a nasty lead hook, and he's going to have a reach advantage on Jake, just like Lawrence Okoli does in the gym, which is why Jake has brought him in. So that jab's going to be effective. That lead hand of AJ is going to be effective. How does Jake maneuver around that? And again, you can look at this a couple of ways. One, okay, you get hit with it in camp, so you don't get hit with it in the fight, which is why you bring these heavyweights in. It's why you bring Jared Anderson, Lawrence Okoli, Frank Sanchez in. Or two, there's a massive flaw in what Jake's doing, that he's continually getting hit with this, and the indication that he's getting hit by Okoli means he's going to get hit the same way with Anthony Joshua. I tend to believe a little bit of both, right? You do this so that it doesn't happen, but also how much can Jake really learn and to avoid something that's coming out with the jab or with the lead hook, or just again the distance control and the range of a guy like Okoli and a guy like AJ that Jake just can't make up for physically. He's not the size of those guys. He's not 6'6". He doesn't have a 80+ inch reach, right? It's just not who he is. It's not physically possible for him. So can you work on things to not get hit with that jab? Sure, but how much will it convert in the short amount of time he has to get ready for AJ, and the transition from Gervonta Davis to AJ, and the fact that Jake is just not as good as a world championship level boxer, which is kind of what you need to beat AJ, or you need to catch him while AJ lets his guard down to try to attack. It's one of those two things. This is the worst I've seen Jake look after sparring or at any time during his camps, and maybe there's been times where he's not on camera, but you can tell the levels are higher in the
Paulie Malignaggi shares both confidence and caution. He says Joshua should knock Jake Paul out without much difficulty. He believes the gap in skill, experience, and physical strength is too big for Jake to overcome. Paulie expects the fight to end quickly and not be competitive. However, he also reminds people that boxing is unpredictable. Unexpected moments, timing, mistakes, or luck can change a fight instantly. Paulie says that while Joshua should win easily, boxing history is full of surprises.
The fight actually go through, because you can't see anything but a knockout. I was looking at the odds. I've actually already put in my AJ bets, and I've already on parlays, and I actually have 2 parlays that I've already cleaned up on that are ending with AJ wins. One of them is AJ by knockout, and one of them is AJ on money line. But he's closing out a couple of parlays for me. I'll probably add a couple more on the way there. But we'll see if the fight happens. We'll see. I would like to probably bet, like, take out cash on all my houses and just bet everything on AJ. But I don't. Being that we live in a world where I don't trust anything, I wouldn't be able to do that, because there's no shot, if this is a real deal thing, that AJ doesn't do anything but knock out Jake Paul. But because I don't trust anything, and we live in a weird world where things get weird. Like, you see by the way, speaking of the real world, did you see the Browns on Sunday? The guy punted from the 29-yard line and kept the game under. Did you see that? It's going viral. Have you ever seen anybody?
I've been seeing a lot of like NBA players and MLB players getting rolled.
Well, the NBA players actually got arrested and all that other shit. That actually came out.
And the MLB. I didn't see the Browns. I mean, the Browns suck. So the Browns
over-under was 36.5. The score was 24-10. They're on the opposing 29. They can just kick a field goal. They punted. The only time you will never in your life see they were on the opposing 29. They're in field goal range.
Yeah,
they punted. They punted and kept the game under.
I've never heard you talk about football, recent football before. So
no, because I don't watch football. This is one of the reasons why I don't watch football. But I watch old school football. Once they change the game between the hit.
The TalkSport hosts shift the discussion to the business side of boxing. They argue that Jake Paul is one of the biggest moneymakers in the sport today. He brings huge attention, high viewership, and strong pay-per-view numbers. They explain that Jake's involvement increases ticket sales and media interest. Even if Jake loses, he still brings major financial value to promoters and broadcasters, according to TalkSport. Jake's star power is undeniable, and no matter the result, he remains a major force in boxing business.
Over to the press conference a couple of weeks ago, I was out there for Bare Knuckle, which we're going to speak about later, but I was out there at BKB 48 in Miami, and I happened to be there. Nikita Bidarian took me up, Jake Paul's manager, took me up on the fact that I said the same things that I said in a second column, that we have to be very careful sanctioning these kind of bouts because we don't know what's going to happen. You just said Jake Paul's got more opportunity of beating Anthony Joshua than Ronda Rousey would ever have against Katie Taylor, and I agree with that. But
and I don't think he's got a chance.
It's a very dangerous fight for him, in my view.
For Jake Paul?
Dangerous.
Massively dangerous.
In spite of the fact that people tell themselves, but Anthony's had a suspect chin at times. Does he really believe in himself? When I went over there, Joshua was taking to that event like with a relish.
I'll tell you what this fight is. This is basically, everybody's done this when you've been in the schoolyard, right? And you had a chat with your mates, and they say to you, what would you do for 10 million quid? What would you do for 50 million quid? For 100 million quid, would you get in with the heavyweight champion of the world and then whack you in the face? That's basically what this is for Jake.
Yeah. I spoke to David Hay about this. I've got an interview going out with him. I think he's working on the broadcast team out there. There's an interview going out with him in the newspaper in a couple of days' time. And he said, without even thinking about it, and I think Joshua's earning 25 million. And at the time, when I spoke to David, I think there was talk of 140 million for this fight. So Joshua was getting 70 million. My understanding, it's 25 million. Even then, he said, David Hay said, you wouldn't even think about it in his position.
Let's do it.
You would say yes without even giving it any consideration whatsoever.
Yeah.
You've got to.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you were asked to tile one tile on a roof, to put one tile on a roof, and you're getting 100 grand for it, you're not going to say no, are you?
No.
Even if you don't know how to tile the roof, you're going to know how to tile the roof by the time you get up there. When I saw Anthony Joshua over there, a part of...
Steve Bunce gives a blunt and aggressive opinion on the fight. He criticizes people who blindly support Jake Paul and also mocks those who say Joshua is in danger. Bunce does not soften his words. He says respecting Jake's courage is fine, but calling the fight competitive is unrealistic. He insists that anyone claiming Joshua is vulnerable is ignoring reality. Bunce calls Jake's decision to fight Joshua reckless and says stepping into the ring with a heavyweight knockout fighter is a crazy...
Like that. My only real criticism, I quite like it. It does good numbers. I think if AJ's going to fight in an 8-rounder, you can't turn down the money, etc.
Absolutely.
I don't really think it should be sanctioned, but that's on the board of who makes that decision. But do you not ever sit there and kind of scratch your head and feel a bit... I mean, don't get me wrong, there's been so much to celebrate over the last couple of years as well, but does it not... You know, boxing frustrates me at the best of times. Does it not?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That frustrates me. Lots of things frustrate me. I mean, you know, the fact that, you know, someone like Echo Esserman got overlooked for 2 or 3 years. Michael McKinson's being overlooked was just sticking with one weight and one country. The fact that fighters don't get the breaks they deserve across the board, that upsets me. My argument, my counter to that would be, yeah, absolutely. I'd rather AJ. Of course, I would rather AJ wasn't fighting Jake Paul. I'd rather he was fighting Frank Sanchez 5 or 6 months ago. Of course I would rather that. By the way, do a better job on Sanchez than he might do on Jake Paul, because Sanchez would be really easy to hit. Of course I do, but I wouldn't have that as my... I'm not even sure that would creep into my top 100 things I've experienced that have annoyed me and frustrated me and made me... Yeah, I honestly, Charlie, yeah. I mean, I think about the...
You love it
dozens,
the way you always have.
Yeah, I think about the dozens of fighters that haven't had a break. Mark Taylor died recently. Just a former British middleweight champion. Died recently. He had to sue his management team when he'd finished boxing, and he got a settlement about 10 years later. That's all documented. You won't get legaled for that. 9 of his first 10 fights, he basically, as a complete novice, was selling out the Royal Albert Hall or Wembley. He was overmatched massively. We only ever won one British title fight. He was in a great eliminator.